Welcome to episode 134 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
What's all the excitement? Destiny 2!
And Gray.
Good evening, everybody.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
All right. Thank you very much, Hollow River. Super exciting times to be part of this Destiny community. Very exciting times to have a podcast where you get together with a bunch of friends and talk about something that you enjoy as much as we enjoy Destiny. I want to get kind of a real quick feel for everyone's thoughts on, just a real quick overview so that I know what I'm looking at for the rest of the podcast. So, Jez, I would like you to tell me, on a scale from 1 to 5, what did you think that your level of interest was going to be in this? And then after the reveal, what was your actual level and interest in what they showed?
I mean, I try to keep everything level, so going into it, it's going to be a 3, otherwise I got no room to go. And I probably ended up with a 4 on what I got out of it. Like, it's a very logical increment in the game series, and it makes sense, and they're not making crazy changes that I don't like, but other people do, or other people don't like. But, yeah. Overall,
Excellent.
Very positive.
Excellent. I'm really glad to hear that. When I look at what's happening in the Destiny world, I oftentimes wonder, where does Jez stand on this? Because, these other people are overtly interested in Destiny, and I feel like you're kind of a cat in that, yeah, okay, I'll take it, but I don't really like it. So that's a really great answer, and you're really right. The logical, the next step in what's going on. Thank you very much, Jez. Agrios, same question to you. What did you think you were going to be feeling? What was going to be your excitement level, 1 to 5, about what they were going to show, and then what they ended up showing? Where did you end up feeling about that?
Well, then we're talking about what I expected to see. It was a mixed bag. As far as my excitement level for the game, for Destiny 2, I would stick that squarely at a 4. My concern with the amount of game they're exposing, for the amount of time they're exposing it to the amount of people they're exposing it to, and what we're going to either see or have to avoid in the community the next few weeks, that concern, would have had me rating a different lower number. But if I throw that concern aside, I was going into Destiny 2 on a personal relationship with Destiny 2 at probably about a 4.
Okay.
I have high hopes, but they were tempered. If we're going to 1 to 5 scale that Jen started providing.
I like that a lot, and you know what? It's good for you to have tempered your thoughts on it, just because, especially with where we were with Destiny 1, the sky was the limit at that point, and now we have a good idea of what the game is about and what we can expect, and so I'm glad to hear that, Agrios. Sharks.
Well, you may not be glad to hear that, although I'm not going to score at a lower number coming out of the reveal, I'm going to score it at still a dead even 4. What a dead even 4? We're going to say I'm hanging on the 4 bar.
I'll accept it. I'll take that. That's definitely
4's a weird number, don't you think?
4 is my favorite number. My favorite single-digit number.
Man, I never would have guessed that. That's funny. But no, I can definitely see what you're saying there, Agrios. Sharks. Going into the reveal, what was your excitement level, your interest level, and then after the reveal, how did you feel about what they showed? 1 to 5 stars, number I don't care.
Okay, so going into the reveal, I was actually very, very nervous. Bungie has, over the last, we call it 3 years, been very bad at showing too much. And so my excitement level as far as them potentially showing too much made me excited as far as a 1. I was excited. I was super excited because I am craving something new, a new game and everything. But like my excitement level as far as they're just going to screw everything up and we're going to see way too much. So I wasn't excited per se. After the reveal was over, it went to a 5. I loved what they showed, what they didn't show, what they talked about. They did just enough as far as promoting it, and also the amount that they let people play. Originally, people were saying they were going to get to play for 6 hours. Those numbers were wrong. So it was a 6-hour time spread that they were going to have this going on down there. And so and what I've heard, what they've been able to record, it's a lot less. And yes, Jez was right. He's letting me know, and you know what? He was right. He was right. The people that I was talking to, they got it wrong, and I told everybody last week. I said, they said it's 6 hours, and this is coming from a whole bunch of sources, and it was, but people just misunderstood what they were saying. So they're not letting people play it for hours and hours and hours on end, record all this stuff and bring back. Basically, they got to play I won't even go into what they're playing yet. But yeah, so my excitement level went up to a 5. Very excited. There are some things I'm not happy about, but I'm still excited.
Excellent. I'm very interested in going into what it is that you're not excited about, but we'll do that in just a little bit. Gray, same question to you. Going into the Destiny 2 reveal, how did you feel about it? Excitement on a scale of 1 to 5, and then afterwards, after all is said and done, what was your feelings on that?
I think I was at a solid 4 before the reveal, the gameplay reveal, and a lot of that is I really love Destiny. And I've actually been playing a lot of Destiny recently, more because of the social aspect of the friends that I've made here in Guardian 1, as well as some of the different activities that we're doing with the Guardian 1 Raid Core program. It just has me in the game a lot, and I'm actually getting a little bit burned out on the gameplay itself, even though I'm still really enjoying the social aspect. So the anticipation of something new, something exciting, something that's going to be a step up in terms of graphics and audio and hopefully in gameplay, had me really excited to see what this next iteration of Destiny is going to be. And after watching it, I'm at a solid 5. I'm on the hype train, getting ready to just take off and play this game because it looks incredible. It's checking all the boxes that I needed to feel very comfortable and confident to go and say, yeah, this is going to be another game that I'm going to invest thousands of hours into. my only concern was I would go and this wouldn't feel enough like Destiny. You know, they'd change too much in it, and that's certainly not the case. So I left feeling a solid 5. Yep, this is going to be what I hoped and expected. And if anything, I'm just now really excited to see, okay, how can I personally and us as a group, you know, continue to be a part and grow in this community, because it's only going to get better as time goes on.
I like that. I like that a lot, Gray. I was at a similar place. Before the reveal, Seer Prophet tweeted at me talking about something about how I'm going to be fanboying, and I feel like isn't fanboying when you give credit or praise that isn't supposed to be there? Like it's like a mediocre product, and yet you're still going crazy about it. Because I feel like I do, to a certain extent, fanboy over Bungie and Destiny specifically, but I feel like it's earned that giddiness inside of me. I feel like it's earned that place in my heart where I think, man, Destiny is fantastic. Sometimes sometimes I'll be playing the game and I'll be like in a strike or something with people I don't know, and I'll just think, man, this is so awesome. And it'll be the same shit that I've been doing this whole time. But I'm excited to be there. And I agree with what you're saying about how the gunplay, it's feeling a little worn. But at the same time, it's still so good, you know, like I couldn't play anything else. I can't play anything else. Bungie has definitely ruined me for many, many games, unless it's like Abzu. I love Abzu. That was a great game. You know, something that's entirely removed from the first person arena, like Borderlands. I can't play Borderlands. The gunplay on that feels stiff and gross. You know, like I could go back and play like Halo. Halos still hold a certain amount of magic for me, but for the most part, Destiny has totally ruined me for basically any other first-person shooter. What are you gonna say, Agrios?
Like in anything, it's more about what's provided for you to do with the tools than the tools themselves. I mean, the tools, being quality tools, are important in their own right, but I mean, there's only so many different things you can do with the way you play. It's more about what they let you do with that way you're playing. It is what, you know, separates a good game from a bad game, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think that's why Bungie focused so much on the gunplay, because if you can get that right, you can change the backdrop, you can change the foreground. You know, you can equip these people with armor that makes them look totally different, makes them do completely different things. And so I definitely see what you're saying. So for me, going into this, I feel like I was fooled in Destiny 1. Not necessarily Bungie's fault. Definitely I will take the majority of the blame for this. But I had insane hopes for Destiny 1 based on other games that were out at the time or out earlier. So it's not like I was, you know, just totally dreaming out of nothing. So going into this reveal, I wanted to also temper my excitement on this, and it was difficult, but I kept it at a 4. Like, I didn't want to get too excited because, you know, shit happens. You know, it's not impossible for a sequel of something to be gross and not want. I mean, it was really not very likely with this. You know, Bungie is really putting their heart and soul into this, and everybody I follow on Twitter and everybody I've ever met and talked to, all of those people have a real passion and real talent for what they're doing. So it's really fantastic. I feel like coming out of the reveal, I was definitely at a 5, and the 5 though was based on nothing more than what they showed me. You know, like I feel like everything that they said, I feel like everything that they said and everything that they did, everything that they did and everything that they showed really piqued my interest. I feel like they listened to people, you know, specifically being able to, okay, sweetheart, I love you. being able to go from planet to planet right from the planet's surface. That's really cool. I feel like that's something that a lot of people wanted. There was a lot of little things that they showed that showed that they were listening to the community. And I mean, they are part of the community themselves. They are game players. And so after everything that they showed, I was pegged right at a 5, just based on what they showed. Now I do expect them to reveal more. Like I don't think that this is the full game. And this is where I might come into problems because, at some point Bungie had shown us everything that Destiny was for the most part. And that was, a letdown. So I feel like we have time before we know what the full game looks like. And that includes planets. I don't feel like those are going to be the totality of planets. Although I will say that it's very possible that Bungie has figured out how they're going to pace these things. Like instead of bringing in one planet closer towards the middle or end of the cycle of this game, I feel like they will pace themselves. It doesn't really make sense to only have the planets that we have, but it does make sense in the fact that, we've been really stomped out. There is footage of Guardians really struggling to walk because their light had been taken away. So, in the grand scheme of things, I definitely understand why those planets were only the ones showed. But yeah, I went into it as a 4 because I wanted to be cautious, and I came out as a 5 because just everything that they showed, I loved, except for the 4v4 focus on multiplayer. I am looking forward to talking about that because I'm not a huge fan of it. But I don't know. Okay, so Jez, I want to know from you, what is it that you think that we should be talking about? What piques your interest most that you would like to discuss right now?
I mean, I think maybe we should first talk about what we'll be doing and our Guardian's abilities. So the subclasses that they showed off.
Okay, subclasses. Agrios, what do you think we should be talking about first?
First, I think we should be talking about... I agree with Jez.
Subclasses. Sharks, what do you think? Most important subject we need to get out of the way right now.
I just want to get started, so let's go with Jez's thing.
All right, Gray?
I would say story.
Just to be different.
I think
always.
that's actually part of Jez's thing.
Okay, so you know what? Why don't we go against the current, and we'll start with story.
Great.
What is that, an engram?
Okay, here's my first question about story. Did we see the start of it?
Yeah.
We did?
Oh, yeah.
Why do we have these new subclasses already?
I think that was a choice to have those subclasses there.
So you think we won't have those at our disposal there? Because...
I think that'll be where you'll see your striker. Or maybe at the very start, you'll be completely cut off to begin with.
I don't know. I'm thinking that from what we saw, this is going to be one of those games like Prototype where you begin with all of the maneuvers, and then that's how we're going to feel the drain.
Okay, so,
is that
Remy, if I understand, you're saying like this is going to be like 100 years have passed. Your Guardian's 100 years older, and you've learned these new supers, and you're hanging out in the tower one day, and boom, shit goes down, and you just have these new things at your disposal right off the bat. You think that's how it begins?
I think that that's definitely possible. I think that's not impossible.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't even need to be 100 years. I learned a whole new subclass in like a day when those first subclasses came out.
Because Gray, I think, said you're the one just said you think we'll have our old supers at this point, and that was it Jez? Somebody just said that you think we'll have our old supers at that point, and the new supers were just there so they could show them off today.
Yeah.
So in that case, we're going to start with a fully leveled Guardian.
I feel like, or at least we'll have maybe just like a bare bones version of that class.
Like, is a
Like-
story gonna sap our light back down to 0 at some point? What's going on with that?
Well, yeah,
I mean-
we know
I mean,
that
it's a
because it
trope.
happens in the trailers.
It's a video game trope.
So are we
Agrios.
not going to get our hands on the new subclasses till after we level back up then?
No.
I think
what I
part
think
of
is
the
going to
level.
happen is we actually, there's not going to be like a Destiny 2 Taken King. Here's the story behind your new subclass. I think it's just going to be seamless. You're going to start off with all your new subclasses, and they're not even going to explain it. As you lose all your powers, and then you regain them, you're regaining the powers that you got to experience in that first mission. I don't think that they're actually going to create a story arc to explain these new subclasses.
But
Or at
what
least
about
new
your level?
abilities? And they're the same subclasses, really, just new abilities within them.
So, okay, the next question then, are your nodes in your subclass no longer tied to your like leveling at all? Like are we going I mean at the beginning of this we saw them with supers. Are we going to have supers?
Okay.
Just for
Right?
the first mission.
I'm trying to
Just for
explain
the first mission, okay.
how I expect it to be. Is like, you know, after you start playing Destiny 1, you have like 4 things unlocked. You have your grenade, your super, and your melee ability, and then you start unlocking the variations of it, right? I feel like you're gonna start out with just that bare bones first 3, and then you'll play through the mission, and it'll take away your superpowers. I didn't mean
I like that.
as like a term like superpowers, but super powers. And then you'll learn the new subclasses and the new revamped versions of the subclasses. But that'll be part of the story after this mission, or
Okay,
during if you replay it.
Okay, so you
I
say
can
we're
see
going
it
to
being
learn
either.
these. Are we going to forget what we already knew altogether, or are we just not going to have access to it, or are we literally going to like unlearn it?
I feel like you'll unlearn it and learn a new way to use it, and
Well,
that'll
okay,
be their
so-
reason
So,
for
well,
why.
the,
Well, but
the-
here, wait,
so
wait,
okay,
here's-
when you
this
get
is
the
simple right
revamped
here.
arc blade spear, does that mean you're not going to have your old arc blade anymore, or do you think these will be separate nodes you can just pick within the subclass?
Okay, we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Okay,
I
Well,
said
we-
you
but-
think.
We know that Arc Strider is different than Arc Blade.
A completely different node to pick. This super is a different like.
So
Okay,
I feel
okay, but
like
look at- this
we're
is
not going to have some of those old
Look at
super.
It's very simple. This is very simple. So I like what Jez is saying. I like what Gray's saying. Gray could be totally right in that. Yeah, I saw something flying around your house a little bit ago.
There is a large black fly that came in with my girlfriend just like a half hour ago, and it has been dive bombing me relentlessly.
Yeah, it flew in front of your camera just a little bit ago. It crawled on your camera. So what Gray said could be totally true. It could be that they were just using it as an example for us. But I feel like what it is what I feel like what it's going to be is like Jez. So you start off with this first 3 melee, grenade, and super. Or 4, I guess there's a jump also. And then I think that how they're going to do it is that we will still have those first 3 after that first mission. Our light just doesn't recharge. Like imagine instead of it recharging very slow, it just doesn't recharge at all. So you have those first 3 nodes unlocked, but you can't use them because there is no light. And then Hadouken Child in the chat says they already have explained it in lore as the Guardians in the Outer Rim territories have learned how to wield the light without the assistance of the Traveler. We will be at ground zero and have to relearn it all again. And I definitely see that being a thing. But
Absolutely.
because there's so many games start you off with all of the powers, and then you have to relearn all of it. And it just seems like something that would be very exciting for in Destiny 2. Here is these fantastic powers. Now you have them taken away, and you have to gain them back. Zavala seemed really bummed that we lost our light, and then in one of those clips, he's like, "Oh well, if you can find your light again, maybe all is not lost or whatever." So I feel like over the course of, 5 missions, 6 missions, 10 missions, maybe the entirety of the first one, you're learning how to not live without the Traveler's light. You're learning how to do it otherwise. But I mean, it could have just been for demonstration purposes, but I don't think so.
So I think
for the first like 40 hours of this game, are we going to be getting missions like play soccer with the village youths to help increase your light level?
I think they're gonna, like, as soon as you don't have your light, the first mission is gonna be find your light.
Yeah,
like they're not gonna leave you with no powers for an extended amount of time.
Right. I mean, I hope that it is for some amount of time because I want to feel that loss. I want there to be a drive to push forward and reclaim my light, or at least reclaim my ability to do some really cool stuff, even if many of those supers seem kind of samey. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. What about the PvP players for that period? Is the Crucible going to be excluded from this loss of light, or
well, you weren't allowed to get into the Crucible
across the board?
You weren't allowed to get into the Crucible until you were level 5 in Destiny 1. So I could see them.
That's not really very long. You're saying you want to be lightless for a long time.
Okay,
well,
so
I want it to be relatively long.
I want to say my piece. Okay, you guys went around to everybody else. Okay, so I agree with what they're saying as far as we're going into this game with light. You're going to have your full powers. Okay, whether we have the option to pick other subclasses, we don't know yet. We don't even know what the other subclasses are. We don't know if they're changed. I think that every single thing is going to be different, but very similar. Basically, what they've done is they've reworked the supers. That's what they've shown us. Like the solar super for the Warlock is way different than it used to be. The Void super is way different for the Titan, and so on. So
wait a minute. Do you think it's not possible that there's not 2 Void supers for these characters, or 2 solar supers?
No.
Do you think we can never have more than 3 super choices?
What?
Do you think they're never going to offer more than 3 separate super choices? You don't think we can get to the point where we have 2 solar supers, 2 arc supers, and 2 void supers?
Okay, they are not. This is Destiny 2. This is a new game, and they're going to not rework old content. Okay, they've already said that they're not going to bring old stuff through, which they could, and I'll get to that.
I took that as more we're not going to bring old weapons and armor through.
Well, why would they bring the same super through?
Because lore-wise, these are ancient arts that we've learned.
That's right. They're ancient arts, and they've been tweaked. They've added things to it. So the solar now does this. You've become this super soldier, and this is how your super works now.
See, okay, so I'm hoping you're wrong. I'm hoping over time they keep adding nodes and supers till you get to the point where there's multiple solar, multiple arc, and multiple void for every class.
Yeah, maybe that would have been the case if this had been an MMO like World of Warcraft, and Destiny 1 went on to Destiny 2, went on to Destiny 3, but that's not how it's working. This is a brand new game, and we're going to have all new stuff. That's basically what we've seen so far. Well, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so we'll find out later on if they use the same powers. I hope they don't. I don't want to see the same shit that we had in the first year in this game at all. I don't want to see that. I think
with the powers, I'd like to still have them as an option.
They are. They're there, and they've been tweaked. Okay, but anyway, so you're gonna have your power. Okay, you're gonna be able to go through this first mission all souped up because you are there, and this first mission isn't the game. We actually had this conversation on the pre-show because Mark Square was really worried. He was like, "Oh, they're not really showing it. This is like super quick. You're not even you don't have any light. That's the big huge thing. You don't have any light, and look at it. You got all kinds of light. No, that hadn't happened yet. You're going to go through this first mission that lasts however long a first mission lasts, and then boom, the story's going to happen. You're going to lose all your powers, and then you're going to have to figure out how to get your powers back. And in figuring out, maybe you're going to have to go and do stuff in the world. Maybe you'll have to collect stuff because they're adding things like that to the game. And it won't be instantaneous because look at when we were leveling up our characters before. You weren't a striker titan instantly. You had to go out and do all kinds of crap in order to get your stuff leveled up. So it's going to be what Remy wants. It's going to be a slow process because that's how it is. They want to drag out the game. You know, they don't want you to instantly have this awesome power and go and kick butt. So you're going to do that. And as far as not having it in Crucible, that's how it was in the original vanilla game. You didn't go in there with all your supers and all your grenades. And as you progressed, you started to use those extra things later on down the road. So I completely see them coming in there with, you get to try out these powers. Oh, this is an awesome power. Boom. Now you don't get to use it. And you're really eager to get that power back.
Yeah.
Also, as a note, you unlock your new subclass nodes through an item, not through like XP.
What do you mean?
Like in Triple Rex PvP thing, he like hovered over a node that was grayed out, and it's like requires one node unlock something.
Well, that would make sense. Like, if we have to go find some sort of relic to unlock the new variations on our powers, you know, have that as a quest-based thing. You know what I mean? Not something that we can just, somebody can power level into. You got to wait till the game gives it to you.
I'm cool with that.
I am cool with that. I think there needs to be a lot more of that. Like, the whole... One day, the people who had the right things that Bungie decided not to happen to wipe and happen to carry over the good way are the ones that all get the blast all the way to max level instantly at like the DLC drops and stuff. That's all goofy, and I think a lot of things like that could help take care of those types of issues.
I agree.
Very anticlimactic, even for the people who do it. Like they can't. I can see it as being compulsory. Like, there's some people out there that are too efficient not to do it if they can do it, but they'd end up being more satisfied if they didn't do that. And I think, making it not possible to happen is just for everybody's enjoyment, really.
I mean, I really want to live in the world that they are making. And by this, I mean, I want to feel the loss. We need to feel the loss. And really starting over, like you guys were saying, the subclasses, it wasn't super easy to just burn right through those. I mean, how long did it take to level up one subclass without the boosts to them? Anyone have a rough idea?
It was a long time. It took a long time. It wasn't quick.
It did take a while in the beginning.
Right, and I feel like it would be. I feel like they might even be interested in extending that time a little bit longer, just based on how long you spend at max level, at max light. Getting to level 20 wasn't that big of a deal necessarily. And I feel like with how long we spend with these characters, I feel like a little bit more of a climb isn't that big of a deal, and it fits in with the story that we're all totally screwed, but building up your light again is really an important part of this, and so they definitely want to deliver on the power fantasy.
So I thought of it, Remy. In the beginning of the show, you asked what's your worst thing and what's your best thing that you were taking away instantly from this, and I said, or what was your initial impression, or what was your what you liked most about the reveal today, or whatnot. I figured out what it was. Unlike a lot of the stuff in Destiny 1, I feel compelled to kick Gary's ass. I don't like Gary. I don't like the scenario. I already feel more compelled to be a part of this story than I did at almost any point in Destiny 1. In Destiny 1, there are very, very few enemies that I felt I had any sort of personal relationship to.
I can see that.
That's actually the high point I took away from today's reveal.
Okay, yeah. So we are starting with an actual story here instead of it being like basically totally blind and having no real idea what what is going on. We have a clear goal. This is really a really good point. There's a clear goal. There's a clear enemy. That is very interesting. And you know what? You must have been reading it off my antennas, because that was actually where I was going to go.
Well, you inspired me
favorite thing
with what you said to think of that. With what you had just said before, with about like you want to feel it and whatnot. That's what made me think of. Yeah, that's actually my high point. My best thing I took away from today's reveal.
Okay, so then why don't we keep the conversation moving with that idea? Jez, what was the coolest thing you saw? What was the least coolest thing you saw?
I mean, for some reason, I'm taking a shining to a hand cannon.
Oh yeah, definitely. That hand cannon looks fantastic.
But that's just because it looks cool and literally looks cool.
Wait, have you seen the press release pictures of it firing? It looks like there's solar flares coming out of it.
You're too thorn.
It's called the Sunshot, and some details of it were on the internet. It's something like, I'm sure people that have watched it would remember more than me right now. But it is solar flare related.
Cool. Well, then they did a good job on that.
Flare.
And so, what was the low point for you? Was there anything in there that didn't stand out as being very cool?
Oh, actually, I should give a special mention to things in the patrol, the adventures and such. But I don't know what was not cool. Like maybe I don't know. I can't think right now.
Well, you can revisit it in case something sticks out to you. Sharks, what was the high point and the low point for you? What were you most excited about? What were you not most excited about?
Now, are you talking about through the entire reveal?
Yeah.
Okay, so
let it happen.
It's really hard to narrow it down to one exciting thing, but what I felt was the most exciting is something that I'm not 100% positive, and we won't be until I actually play through the game, but that they've listened to the community, and your Guardian is more involved talking-wise, because he talked in that first mission.
Did he?
Yeah, he was talking to Zavala and about going and finding the speaker, and also talked to Ikora Ray. I mean, it wasn't very much, but it was some kind of interaction, as opposed to, oh, my ghost is going to talk for me. It was actually the Guardian talking. So, again, that's only a very small bit, but we only saw a very small bit of the game. So I have high hopes that they will continue that throughout the game. What I am least excited about is actually PvP orientated, them going to 4-person matches.
I agree.
I think I would not mind having maybe a playlist with 4 people, but to have all the playlists be 4 people, it's really dumb. I enjoy big battles, and I know a lot of people in the community were hoping for like faction wars and stuff like this. You're not going to get that with 4-on-4. That's
well, I could go with 4v4v4 each faction.
Well, yeah, okay,
that would be fun
that way,
but that's not what we're going to see, I don't think.
Yeah. No, we're going to see matches on 4-on-4, and that's.
I like what they had now. They had, half 3 counts and half 6 counts. Well, I'm thrilled that they would replace the 3 counts with 4 counts. I think that's better. It increases the size, makes that bigger. That's great. But I don't like the lack of 6 counts. I don't think people had a problem with the 6 counts. Is this for red bars?
No, it's for
PvP networking issue stuff?
No, it's for MLG.
Man.
It's for MLG. That's what they're doing it for.
MLG fine. Have it as an option for MLG.
But
what
that's
about
why
who's playing Control for Iron Banner?
I'm saying.
I suspect this might be a pure networking issue with red bar stuff.
So I want to know. I want to know if we have confirmation that there just is no other option.
So
Since
I was
across all modes.
Yep.
I know, but did they
across all-
say only all modes? Like, okay, so I could see, okay, here's 4v4 Clash, here's 4v4, whatever the hell
Yeah,
else.
but there would be no point. They're not going to do that because they know now, they've learned that you can't have a whole bunch of different things going on at the same time because of player base. They're not going to start out right away and go, oh,
What
here.
they need to do.
Yeah, they're not going to start out right away and say, okay, you have the option for 4v4 and the option for 6v6. They just wouldn't do that because people aren't going to do that. And I was talking to a whole bunch of different people today, and some of those people said that they were talking with Bungie employees, and the Bungie employees basically said, yeah, it's going to be over all the playlists, and a lot of the Bungie people aren't even necessarily happy with it. So, yeah,
it is really a catch-22 situation. I mean, they have to restrict something somewhere, and it's just a matter of who thinks it's best to restrict what. Because, I mean, the truth of it is now, the higher number of people you have in the match, the higher chances you have people from all over the planet in those matches. I mean, if K-Dub and I both live in Florida, and if I go and get someone from New Zealand and England on my fire team, and K-Dub goes and gets someone from Japan and Russia on his fire team, and we queue up against each other to fight, that's going to be some messed up networking on a peer-to-peer network. It's just the way it is. So either you region restrict, you restrict the size of the matches, or something. The fact is, the networking on a peer-to-peer setup just can't keep up, or we have the red bar situation we have now. That's why I think they're going fours across all matches.
Gray, high point for you, low point for you.
Man, just one? It's rough. I had mentioned a different high point during the pre-show being that guided games, which I know we'll get into later. I want to actually talk about something a little differently, though. As I have said many times on this podcast, the kind of player that I am, while I love the social aspect, I really love really sharp, clean graphics and great animations. And looking at the animations on the weapons as they fired blew me away. Like, I just loved watching those weapons fire and the different effects that they gave. Just the little details. I mean, it is so detailed. If you haven't looked at that, because there were so many things going on the screen, go back and watch the gameplay reveal and just look at what the weapons are doing while they fire, because it is really, really cool. And then, I mean, I could go with a bunch of different things as far as things that I really liked. One that I'll just plug really quick is that the directory and the way that you build your character in terms of weapons and gear, they kept that relatively the same, and I'm really glad about that. So much of that interface just connects me to Destiny that I'm glad they didn't go in a totally different direction on how that interface and character selection with their gear and armor and weapons is going to be the same. Low light, though, I'm going to have to say that they did not announce the date of the beta, and that we have to wait still 4 months to actually get our hands on this game as far as the definitive time that we know that we're going to play it. I could speculate on a lot of things that we don't necessarily know yet about this game that they haven't told us, and we could assume that those things aren't going to be in the game. But I'm going to kind of wait till we get some more information before I think of this as a glass half empty situation quite yet. I think more than anything right now, I'm just so eager to get my hands on it that I wish they would have told us when the beta was going to drop.
Right, I was definitely waiting for that guy to be like, oh, and now all of you can play it at home. I don't know why.
Since we're talking about it, the only clue they did give was they just simply said later this summer.
Yeah, but we all know why. It's because they're going to announce it at E3, and more people are going to be watching at E3.
Obviously, and I totally agree. That's the smart time to do it. There's two ways this can go. So here's the question now to everybody. Alpha or no alpha? Nope. And is it going to be, here is the 8-minute E3 trailer. Okay, how'd you guys like the 8-minute E3 trailer? You can go play the alpha and or beta now.
Right. I don't know. I hope that they have I hope that they have an alpha, just because I have an a PlayStation now. But Chiva, knock it off. Hold on, Chiva. So I don't know. I hope that they have. I hope that they have a beta. All right. I hope they have an alpha. But I don't know. I don't necessarily see them needing one. You know, they definitely already have. They definitely already have an idea of what they're doing. There doesn't necessarily need to be. You know what? For a stress test, I could see them opening it up to PlayStation for a stress test, and of course they would open it up to the PlayStation. But my answer, Agrios, since we skipped me, definitely the low point for me was the 4v4 only game modes, because I really felt that the 3v3 and the 6v6 was really very unique. Specifically, the 3v3. I really enjoyed the idea that it's just you and two other people. You know, you lose one person, you're down to two. And instead, you know, like 4v4, like I understand that that's what MLG went with, which I feel like was kind of strange. I don't know why you wouldn't treat Destiny as its own entity, because it is clearly its own entity. I don't know why MLG would push for 4v4. Why would you treat Destiny like any other game? It doesn't make sense to me, and I think that Sharks, unfortunately, is right. That's the way they're going, because they're maybe looking to make Destiny a competitive game. But Hadouken Child says in the chat, this game is not a balanced PvP game unless they can run no perks on gear and subclasses in PvP. And this is something that I've been saying for a while, Hadouken Child. I am very interested in being able to play this kind of style within the game of Destiny. I'm a Halo player previously, and I really enjoyed the skill mattering most. You know, like armor permutations didn't matter. It didn't change anything. The way you ran or jumped, or the amount of ammo you had, and if you both had an assault rifle, it came down to skill only. And I feel like there is room for this within the game of Destiny. But because that's not what they're doing, that's another thing that doesn't make sense to me about this MLG making it 4v4. You know, like if you're not going to do exactly that, if you're not going to have a specific set of armor, a specific set of guns, you know, then...
I mean, it's really easy just to go tower only gear or
totally. Well,
headquarters only gear, whatever
like,
it's going to be.
Or like what we were talking about previously, where there would be, you know, tower only gear. You could take these guns and everyone had access to them. And sure, there was different nodes, but that is how you expressed yourself. But it wasn't being held from anyone else. Like, I know that when I go into the Crucible, the chances that I have the same exact roll on the same exact gun that anybody else has is really low. But with this tournament style, it would be, here are these different nodes you could choose wisely. Or here is clearly the optimal loadout. So
I mean, ideally, Bungie would design the game with this in mind, with the fact there needing to be a good MLG loadout in mind. And they could just simply make one vendor, like the Quartermaster vendor, the Crucible Quartermaster vendor, have a set of armor for each class and a set of weapons that had specific nodes catered for a balanced MLG experience.
Absolutely.
And then anytime there's an event, every MLG player can gear up. Everybody knows where they stand, what they have to choose from. They can all gear up from that same armory, so to speak. And I mean, even make it to the point where that these weapons cost almost nothing to get, break down into nothing. So that if you just want to go play a match Crucible, you just go grab whatever weapons you want out of there, use them, and then delete them afterward, because you can just go grab them again and reuse them if you want that one later.
Yeah.
So I'm going to defend 4v4 right now, and it's got 2 points, so don't interrupt me in between. Firstly, I'm pretty sure 4v4 has... the reasoning behind 4v4 is they found that's the best mode where you have the most amount of impact with the least amount of mayhem. Whereas 3v3, you have just so many people. You have so few people that one down you get steamrolled. Whereas 6v6, you feel like you have no impact because you're just one of 6. And my second point, a lot of people talking about how abilities are less impactful. Like melees are 3 shots, grenades are more than there's no one-hit kills except for supers and power weapons. So I feel like it is a little bit more in that skill matters range.
Okay, so
that's good, and I agree with you totally about the 4v4 type stuff, that how the balance and MLG situation. I just don't like it being an across the board thing. I like the casuals like myself having access to 6v6 control Iron Banner, and if they're just removing that as an option in the general forum of Crucible choices, I don't like it.
So they didn't mention Iron Banner at all, which was one of my glass half empty things that I wasn't going to necessarily bring up, because I'm not going to assume that it isn't something that exists. I've heard a lot of people saying on Twitter that, Iron Banner is now done. But what if, it would be kind of interesting, what if Iron Banner, when it comes around, that's the only time that we get a 6v6 or even more, maybe an 8v8 type of game mode for Crucible?
Well, that would be partially awesome, but I hate things I like being behind time walls.
It might also be them testing out 4v4 in a way that's immersing you in it, and then later if people are like, we really want 6v6 back, they'll be like, okay, here's your 6v6 mode. I feel like they've done this before.
Yeah, I could see that. The other side to that, not feeling like you're making an impact in 6v6, is also a good thing, in that if you have a red bar or somebody who's AFK, it's not that big of a drawback, as where 4v4, if you have a red bar, if you have somebody AFK, you're now down 1/4 of your team instead of 1/6 of your team. So I feel like
there's also less connections, so red bar is less likely.
I could see that.
Yeah, but are
my
they?
whole reason why I think they eliminated the 6 to begin with.
If you're gonna just base it off of the amount of players, you can't do that, because look at Trials. Trials is 3v3, and red bars are prevalent. You can't just. I don't think it has anything to do with red bars at all.
I think that also has an issue to do with Trials matchmaking.
12v12. Stave Puff says 12v12 big team battle. I would love that. I mean, that would be crazy.
In the middle of the field of fallen fighting
too.
Cabal.
I like that a lot.
I'd like to see it too with a no res, with no reses. So it goes down to last man standing kind of thing, and then once that team's wiped, then it reloads up everybody.
12v12 with random Vex mobs running around.
All right.
Why not throw more things in there?
I really like that. Halo has a game mode called Warzone that's very similar. There's AI bad guys running around, and you have to defeat the other team. That always seems like it would be a lot of fun to play. All right, so we are.
I'd like to see some mission-based objective type competitive events too. Like they went with the Sparrow racing. I'd like to also see gunplay type competitive PvP events, like escort a tank from one point to the other, and the one team has to destroy your tank. Type things like that. I'd like to see some sort of questy competitive PvP type stuff in Destiny. I don't know if I'm ever going to get it, but
okay, so we are 1 hour into the podcast. I want to get through as much information as possible. Definitely not going to be able to get through all of it, or at least not through what we all feel about it. So, Agrios, why don't you begin your list of things, and then we will talk about them as they come, and then move on when it is time. What do you got first for us in the world of the Destiny 2 reveal?
Okay, like Remy said, there is a ridiculous amount of information out there. The reveal happened earlier today, and there's just so much out there to be gone over. We're going to be uncovering new details for weeks to come, at least for the next several days.
Wait a second. Jez, you just said snipers are power weapons, and power weapons are the new heavy weapons. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we still have 3 tiers of weapons, but snipers are no longer secondary.
No.
We
No, we have
kinda
two
You have
tiers of
3
weapons.
tiers, but they're not really 3 tiers. You
We
have
kind of have 3 tiers.
primary kinetic, and you have primary burn. And then your third tier is
Elemental.
everything.
Interesting.
Energy, guys,
That's
energy.
really interesting. I kind of like that a lot. That was actually one of the things I also enjoyed about Halo was that you could carry like an assault rifle and a battle rifle, and that is very interesting. I was not aware of that. Primary kinetic and primary elemental, and then heavy weapon. So what is the?
Well, I don't know if they didn't keep the primary term. It's just kinetic, energy, power.
No, they confirmed it today, and in fact, they even said during the stream that now you can keep your primary in 2 spots.
So is a shotgun now a power weapon as well?
Yeah,
So-
shotguns, fusion rifles, and snipers, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, heavy machine gun. I don't know if there's anything else. And did I say
That's-
fusion?
Yeah, you mentioned fusion. Yes.
Okay, so you still have 3 slots, but I guess the way it works now basically is you have your option of putting your primary in either the first 2 slots, right?
Well, no, your primary is in the first 2 spots. It's just that one spot is a kinetic primary, and the other spot is an elemental, a burn.
Okay, got right.
And energy.
Okay, now in Crucible, from what I understand, your secondaries and your heavies all use the same ammo.
Well, I only know off of what people were talking about in that game mode that they played, and in that game mode, it was only one person was able to get that quote unquote heavy. Not everybody was able to get it. So that's not, nobody's confirmed as far as what it's going to be like in the rest of the PvP. Everybody that asked questions, PvP orientated, were kind of pushed aside because the devs were only answering questions about that particular PvP mode.
Interesting. This is really cool information that I did not pick up while watching any of the things. And still, there's a ton of YouTubers that have not put up their videos yet. So I'm very interested. Like next week is going to be an even better show just because we will have so many more answers. I did want to mention right now before we move on. A lot of people in year 1 talked about Fatebringer. Oh, Fatebringer, it's so amazing. And I looked at Fatebringer and I saw the stats and I thought, meh. It's no big deal. And not only that, I never got one. With these 390 raids that have come out, I got one, and I thought, you know what? I should just infuse this. I don't want to go down that path. All of these people are like, oh, Fatebringer, and I didn't want to touch that, but I did. I made the mistake, and I did. And it's so fantastic. I'm so pissed off that it never dropped for me in year 1 because it is amazing. Fatebringer is amazing. It is so amazing. It feels great. It looks great. It sounds great. The perks may seem like they're not necessarily the greatest, but they're fantastic, especially against crowd control, especially against, mobs of a lot of smaller bad guys. It is a fantastic weapon, and I'm so mad that I never got it in year 1. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I was thinking about it. I leveled it up. I played around with it. I said, damn it, this is great. And I thought, I'm going to say this on the podcast, and we'll just move on because there's nothing to be said. I don't know why I never got it year 1, but it's fantastic. I got it now. It doesn't matter. All of our crap's going the way of the dodo. Moving on. Where were we? Agrios?
All right, so I'm heavily relying on my friends at Reddit here that have compiled wonderful list of a lot of the things that we have uncovered during the reveal. There's new abilities and rework classes. The Titan Void class now has a Captain America-like shield. The Warlock Solar class now has a flaming sword, which will spew fire and allow him to somewhat fly. The Hunter Arc class now has an arc staff or spear, which they leap around with. Alongside grenade and melee abilities, each class also has a third special ability. We have seen the Warlock drop a buffering on the ground, and we saw the Titan drop a chest height barrier, which seems that it can be deployed anywhere. Note these are not the supers. A few new weapon types. We saw grenade launchers, miniguns, among a couple other things. Does anybody know, is the SMG been confirmed yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Okay. I
In
saw
fact,
reports,
it was Mesa Sean's favorite gun for a while, apparently.
Okay. So we've been promised matchmaking for Rage, Trials, Nightfalls. They didn't make it clear, like, the entirety of that scope, whether it's just the guided games programs that they talked about as far as the Sherpaing and things like that go, or if there will be a more involved LFG built into the game than that.
Well, I noticed in some pictures that probably shouldn't be on the internet, there's a picture of the Nightfall, and it had 3 options, which was to start it as a seeker, and start it as a searcher or something like that.
A guide.
Not searcher.
Started as a guide.
Oh, guide. Sorry. It's been a while. It's been all day.
It also gave you normal or heroic modes on Nightfall.
Interesting.
So it seems like the only options are to start it with your fire team, start it by yourself to look for a fire team, or start it to look for one person for your fire team.
Okay, so hold on. Breaking news. Apparently power ammo only goes to one person. That's crazy. This is a fantastic, interesting take on weapon usage. Like that means...
But again, that's what I said. That's only confirmed for this playlist.
Okay, but that's what I was saying about the 4v4 thing. Like I understand they said that 4v4 is going across all of the... Never mind. Let's just move on. But that's cool in that if you're in a team with people who are willing to, say, oh yeah, let's give sharks the power ammo. I could see in pickup games that it wouldn't be as cool, when the blueberry goes and grabs all this stuff.
It was on a wall.
It was on the wall. It looked like a health pack from ODST.
You know what this basically is, though, this is how Halo used to be.
Oh, you're right, because the power weapons were on the field, and so only one person could pick up that sniper rifle or that rocket launcher. That's a really interesting point. You're totally right. And I feel like that's going to stop people from being rolled over. I mean, there is the possibility that one person will run to both from the same team. That actually seems like a really great tactic. You take this, Sharks, and then the 3 of us are going to go rush whoever's trying to get that other one. That's really cool. And
during this play mode, it only dropped once, so it's really making it into. I mean, that was the same in Halo 2, is it would only drop one time in that match, and then you could go and do it. So it's a way to force players into primary battles, which a lot of people have always asked for. I love primary play, but I am going to say, if they do that, it does kind of take away from people playing differently throughout the match, like having snipers with sniper lanes, having shotgunners and all that stuff, if there's not multiple drops for those different types of ammo. So I just wanted to say that. I mean, we have so much to talk about, but...
Yeah, so much.
Well, wasn't that mode also very short rounds where you swap back and forth between attack and defend anyways?
Search and destroy. Well, search and destroy it doesn't have to be a quick game mode. I mean, well, it depends on what you consider quick. I'm trying to recall what it was back in Call of Duty. I think there were 3 rounds, best of 3. Maybe it was more. Maybe it was best of 5. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be faster than what it would be for a normal match. And if it drops each round, yeah, I guess you're getting ammo, but you're still going to be getting less because only one person's able to pick it up. It's definitely going to change the way people play for sure.
So this is probably out of Agrios's order of what he's saying, but one, I want to mention the hunter version of that class ability is a role that can either increase your melee energy or reload the equipped gun. And apparently your energy weapon is going to have a use in PvP.
Cool.
Because all it is a primary with like an elemental energy to it. Apparently, if you're up against a I don't know what, like a arc strider, and you shoot him with the arc energy weapon, it does more damage.
That's how we thought Destiny 1 was for the whole first half of the first year. We all thought that you did more damage to people in their supers with the right element weapon.
Maybe. I remember people mentioning it.
I wanted to just touch on this this Nightfall menu that Fuzzle posted. And actually, I don't believe that Fuzzle was actually able to attend the event. Do you guys know if he was able to actually get down there and see it?
No, he wasn't, as far as I know.
So he definitely pulled this this from the reaches of the internet, and some interesting observations from it. It's up on stream right now. One of them is that I don't actually see labels on here that say what the recommended light is for the different activities. And maybe that's something related to this build as opposed to what the final product is going to look like. Where it says that normal seeker and normal guide, I was kind of wondering how the guided games was going to be fleshed out. Like, how do you get into the interface to do it? And if it's these buttons here where it's saying as a seeker, that's where you're looking for that group that is posted that they're willing to take you through that activity, or the guide is how you say, okay, we've got our group of people together, let's see if we can find anybody that wants some help. Interesting that it'll only let you do it in normal mode. It won't actually let you do it for heroic mode. What do you guys think about that?
I'm thinking this is just a shortcut to doing that, to randomly queue. And just right now, currently, you can't randomly queue for the hardest modes. You can only randomly queue for the playlists and whatnot. I think the Sherpa stuff's going to be the same way. Like you're saying, you can only see those options for the normal modes. Well, you can only randomly queue as a Sherpa to take random seekers for normal mode. If you want to Sherpa somebody through hard mode, you have to go to the I'm looking for a Sherpa list and pick two.
Are you guys trying to decipher what that picture is? Okay, so they put this up on screen. Okay, during it was
well, Gray's asking if if this is the only way to to choose to have a Sherpa or be a Sherpa, and if so, he noted that it's only showing it for normal mode and not hard mode.
I feel like
it's not showing. It's not showing a normal or hard mode. It's showing a seeker for a Nightfall, or you're a guide for a Nightfall.
Well, to be fair, it says normal.
It's on stream right
normal
now for you,
seeker.
Sharks.
It's on normal
and heroic Nightfalls.
It says normal
below them all.
Right below Nightfall.
Normal. What are you talking about? There's no.
It's the fourth option.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's normal. Now you guys are reading into it. Okay.
Okay.
You're reading
this
into
is what's
that
happening.
There's a normal and a heroic Nightfall. That's what you're reading into.
Right.
They didn't say that. There's Nightfalls. There's Nightfalls, and you
that's
can
what
go
it says
in
on the
normally.
screen, Sharks.
Huh?
The
That's
picture
what it says on
itself
the screen.
as
The picture
heroic.
itself. Normal, Nightfall, heroic, Nightfall. I think that what we're looking at here, the reason that there's no seeker or guide there is because you haven't selected the heroic thing. Like how you don't get to see all of your weapons right at first. You have to select the first weapon that you're using, and then you have to hover over it. I think that that's what we're looking at here, because it does. I don't feel like it makes sense for you to only be able to seek or guide on normal, or maybe this is what happens. This is the first step in order to certify yourself as a guide, or or a
No,
seeker. You have
look
to.
what it is. Okay, you guys have been. Everybody has been asking. Dad, this is Dado's fault that we're going to have this. Okay, all right. No, I mean it truly is. Okay, so and it's a lot of people on this podcast have said the same thing. Okay, so you have Nightfalls, and everybody says, well, we want something even harder. So that's what the heroic Nightfall is. But what you're looking at is just a pull down screen, just like if you go into Windows and you click on something and you have it's not going to show you that you can pick the heroic when you're already on a normal one.
That's what
It's almost as if
one of the possibilities.
it wouldn't have been great if someone had already just said that.
Yeah, but no, I understand that. But I mean, you guys are making it into something that it's not. Okay.
Okay, time to move on. Anybody else on this specific topic before I throw it back to Agrios? I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to say their piece. Sharks is shaking his head. Gray's quiet. Nothing from Jez. Moving on.
All right.
So am I avoiding talking too much about? Do you just want me to talk about the technical stuff and not so much about the story points we know, or how do you want me to handle that? Do you want me to talk about the story points we know, or should I just dodge that for now because of our limited time?
I don't even know. I don't even know how to parse all this information. So just give us what you want, and then we'll discuss it. And then we'll talk about the rest
as
next.
we mentioned before, there are new weapon slots. We have our kinetic slot, our energy slot, and our power slot. The power slot's where you find your snipers, fusions, LMGs, rocket launchers, and the new grenade launchers. They said that there's more to do than any game we've made at Bungie, which is a pretty big claim. The campaign is titled The Red War, and the first mission is called Homecoming. They are showing off currently the Inverted Spire Strike, and